The third and final FNaF interactive novel is now out. The book is called Escape the Pizzaplex, and it follows Cassie and Gregory before the events of Security Breach. As usual, I checked the Indigo website to see if the book was there early so I could read it as soon as possible, especially since my friend Shadow Libra managed to get it early too. Usually the FNaF books are at Indigo early, so I expected to find it, but nope. It wasn't there. So, like I used to do before I started being my own person, I had to order it on Amazon, albeit by myself and with my own money now, which used to not be the case. I'm growing up, yay! But yeah, I had to wait until it finally actually came out. Luckily, I managed to finish my video way earlier than I did for the week before and return to the pit, so I'm not nearly as late as I was for those books. So, in this video, I'll be going over everything interesting that I noticed in the book. Considering this book follows Cassie and Gregory, the protagonists of Ruin and Security Breach respectively, I went into it extremely curious, so let's get talking about it and see what we can find. Number 1. Page 1 tells us that the main character of this book is Cassie, the same one we play as in Ruin. The book reminds us of her backstory with her dad being a FAS technician, no one showing up to her birthday party, Roxy being her favorite character because she made it the best birthday ever, and being best friends with Gregory. The book also makes a point that Cassie is Gregory's human best friend, indicating the animatronics are his other best friends. Cassie and Gregory often cause mischief in the Pizzaplex, which is always Gregory's idea, but he apparently takes it too far sometimes. Gregory and Cassie also hide in the Pizzaplex before it closes and stay inside after hours, which tells us that Gregory doing so in Security Breach is not a one-time thing and he does it often. On top of that, Cassie and Gregory are both well versed in computers, which makes a lot of sense in Gregory's case considering his work as Patient 46 and being a hacker. Number 2. At the beginning of the book, and more specifically on page 4, Gregory leads Cassie to Freddy's green room where Freddy was waiting for them and greets them. This is interesting to note as in Security Breach, Freddy does not know who Gregory is, having to ask for his name. Throughout the game, Freddy is on safe mode due to the incident during his performance. The fact that he knows Gregory here but not later on during the events of the game indicates that Freddy's safe mode hides some of his memories from him, possibly running a program for him that does not use the Mimic 1 strand of his programming, either changing him back to his original self or allowing the spirit to take over if he is possessed, though it's questionable whether or not he is. Also, this may explain something that has confused people in the past. Gregory, at the beginning of Security Breach, is asked what his name is by Freddy, and he strangely stutters before saying it. Some took this to mean that Gregory isn't his actual name, if he's a robot, but we know due to GGY and this book that it is his actual name, so why stutter? Maybe because he knows Freddy, and expects Freddy to know him too, so when he doesn't, he might just be confused, and that's why he stutters. Number 3. On page 11, Cassie and Gregory are playing hide and seek, and Cassie is hiding in the vents of the Superstar Arcade. She hears Freddy outside the vent, wandering around the arcade. Suddenly, Freddy starts pushing the arcade machines over, causing them to crash to the floor. This is very reminiscent of the Silver Eyes, where Charlie is hiding behind arcade machines and Foxy is punching them while he searches for her. Also, the fact that Freddy is literally destroying arcade machines in the Pizzaplex tells me he isn't exactly in his right mind. This checks out with what we know from Security Breach. The instructions at the beginning of the game quite literally say Gregory is controlling Freddy. That might be more than just saying we as the player are controlling him. Maybe Gregory is literally controlling him when he is inside him, especially since page 20 reveals Gregory is inside Freddy at this point and pranking Cassie, and when Gregory is in him, Freddy is said to look like he isn't himself. Number 4. Page 16 has a small typo at the bottom saying happing instead of happening. Page 154 also calls the reagent the regent. Anyway, that's all. Number 5. On page 29, Cassie finds a Bonnie keychain at the reception desk of Roxy Raceway. The keychain is unfamiliar to her, which she finds odd because she knows the Pizzaplex through and through, and was pretty sure she knew all of the prizes. What is very interesting is that the keychain is not only unfamiliar, but also looks old and used. This implies that this keychain is not affiliated with the Pizzaplex, or at least it wasn't originally affiliated with the Pizzaplex, but rather was left behind by someone and possibly repurposed, whether that be by an employee or a patron. What's also interesting is that the keychain is actually the Bonnie bobblehead from FNaF 3. Since it's supposedly old, it's possible the keychain actually is that bobblehead, retrieved by someone back then who now works at the Pizzaplex. It's later revealed on page 65 that this is actually the key for Bonnie Bull's back room, meaning it is affiliated with the Pizzaplex, but it being old implies that it actually existed before the Pizzaplex. Maybe it was retrieved by the protagonist of FNaF 3, who is likely Mike, but that hinges on him still being alive after FNaF 6, which may or may not be true. Otherwise, it could be someone like Phone Dude or someone from the FNaF 3 crew, or maybe it was retrieved from the wreckage of the horror attraction following the fire. Who knows? Number 6. On page 31, a security staff bot spots Cassie and causes a ruckus, making lots of noise and alerting Freddy to Cassie's location. She returns to her hiding spot and hears Freddy begin getting more aggressive. Suddenly, she hears a crunch and the sounds of the staff bot stop. Freddy destroyed it. This reminds me of the broken staff bots throughout Security Breach, such as the ones in the garbage and in the sewers and down by the pizza place. And it makes me wonder if maybe some of those are broken because of Freddy and Gregory's antics. Later, Monty also breaks staff bots, so it seems like the Glamrocks might be responsible for some of them being destroyed. Number 7. On page 84, Cassie is trying to get out of Monty Golf when suddenly a staff bot rolls into the area from the lobby. Based on the way other parts of the book are written, it seems that the game lobbies and the main lobby are connected to the atrium without any doors, shutters, or barriers of any kind. In Security Breach, we always have to wait inside elevators before entering the atrium or another area like Phaser Blast and Monty Golf. This was essentially meant to give the game time to load in the next area, but it also makes no sense because when you go into the elevator, you just go out the other side without going up or down except for a few cases like the pizza place elevator and the kitchen. This book seems to indicate that those elevators actually aren't canon and there are no doors or elevators connecting the locations, rather they are just connected by an open doorway, which makes sense, and the elevators are only to load the next area and actually aren't canonically in the Pizzaplex. Number 8. After a super long dry spell with barely any interesting things to note, page 169 and 170 reveal that Gregory has altered Roxy's programming, not only making it so Roxy would assist him in the prank, but also that Roxy would attack Cassie. Given the pretty much entirely accurate Pizzaplex design here compared to the numerous different versions that changed over the years as seen in Tales from the Pizzaplex, this is definitely much closer to the events of Security Breach, which tells us that Gregory is still infected with Glitchtrap much later in the timeline. Given his attitude in Security Breach with trying to destroy Glitchtrap, he clearly isn't infected with him anymore by that point, meaning he must have been absolved from the virus quite recently. Number 9. What I've noticed in reading this book is that there's honestly not a lot of lore here at all. While reading the interactive novels, I always write my details that I notice in order and number them, but I also take notes at the end of the doc regarding things that aren't important enough to mention on their own, or things I think I might get more info on later in the book, so I think I should hold off on talking about them until later. Sometimes there's also things I was debating whether or not to mention but later decide I should. So there's a few of those kinds of things that I want to talk about now. First, it's mentioned on the first page of the book that Gregory's shenanigans have resulted in the Pizzaplex security tightening up, including keypads on doors and such, but also in renovations. This reminds me of two things. First of all, we know the Pizzaplex from the books is the same one from the games, not only because the Mimic is in it, but also because there are changes over the years in terms of what attractions are in the Pizzaplex, and there's some stories that overlap with what is part of the original Pizzaplex and the modern one, meaning some attractions were removed over time. Some of these renovations that are apparently because of Gregory could be related to the removal of certain attractions. There's also the fact that Roxy Raceway is under construction in Security Breach, so maybe that had something to do with Gregory. Number 10. On page 49, Gregory wants to hide from Monty at Bonnie Bowl, but Cassie wants to hide in Monty Golf. Then, Cassie comes up with the idea to hide somewhere Monty never goes, like a backstage area or something. I could be reading into this a bit too much, but I had the thought that she is suggesting that they go somewhere Monty never goes after the suggestions of Monty Golf and Bonnie Bowl. That statement implies Monty does go to those other areas, including Bonnie Bowl. Given the theories of Monty killing Bonnie, that would add up. Also, just as a side note, throughout the book there's a common theme of having two branching paths at the start that follow completely different areas of the Pizzaplex, but then end in basically the exact same way. This results in the book being very repetitive and absolutely boring as hell, but it also becomes more akin to Security Breach, with the branching paths of Superstar Daycare or the Kitchen, and Phaser Blast or Monty Golf. Number 11. Something I find so weird about this book is the fact that Cassie and Gregory stay out past 12 AM every single night. Then, at the end of night 3, Cassie passes out from the reagent's gas and gets saved by Roxy, and then she stays unconscious in the Pizzaplex for the entire day. Then that night she again stays in the Pizzaplex all day. She stays in the Pizzaplex for over 2 entire days, and yet she doesn't seem the slightest bit concerned. So do these kids not have parents? Gregory is patient 46, who does have parents, but those parents also seem to be dead or something, and we see in Security Breach that he lives on the street after escaping the Pizzaplex rather than just going home, implying he has no home to go back to. Cassie does have a dad, but if he is the player of Help Wanted 2, he likely isn't around anymore. We also haven't heard anything about Cassie's mom, so maybe Gregory and Cassie just live together on the street, or even in the Pizzaplex and just don't have parents looking after them. Number 12. The reagent in this book is basically a staff bot with burning gas that goes around the Pizzaplex in an attempt to kill all living creatures. This is interesting because by this point you'd think Vanessa would be the night guard, but for some reason she isn't, or at least we don't hear about her. It's also interesting that we see Cassie get affected by the gas, but we see nothing about it happening to Gregory, because Cassie is the main character and Gregory often isn't around. But what if it's more than that? We learn towards the end of the book that Gregory is behind the animatronics acting aggressive, but this doesn't put the reagent to bed. One may think it's not programmed to kill all organic matter, but rather just Cassie. However, this is not the case. On night 5, a screen shows that the reagent receives a new mission, to kill Cassie. A new mission. This wasn't the mission before, meaning the organic matter thing likely was. The reagent really was just trying to kill all living things, but if that's the case, the reagent should have been going after Gregory as well. So did it without us seeing? Because we only saw it after Cassie the entire time. Same goes for Monty. So did it even go after Gregory, or is he just not a target? Maybe he isn't organic matter at all. I'm just saying. Don't be yelling at me in the comments, okay? I'm just saying, okay? Just think about it. Number 13. On page 184 and 197, one of which being the canon path, although I don't know which one, Cassie removes from Roxy whatever program Gregory had added to her. This seems to mean she removed Glitch Trap from her, which would imply that in Security Breach, she doesn't have Glitch Trap. Instead, she's just self-centered and rude to everyone. Maybe she also only goes after Gregory because she's angry at him for what he did to her. Who knows? But the fact that Gregory and Cassie went to the Pizzaplex all the time explains why all the animatronics know Gregory's name in Security Breach before ever actually meeting him. Freddy not remembering, of course, because he's in safe mode. But that's everything I wanted to talk about in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like and subscribe if you want to. Also, if you read the book, let me know your thoughts on it. Honestly, I think it's really boring and repetitive and I don't really like it, but that's just me. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye guys!